Hello everybody and welcome back to the Crooked Hour. So excited for this card, UFC 297. Gonna be going from the early prelims to the main event, breaking down every single fight quickly. Quick picks. Little change of the name. Special thank you real quick to MMA Experts. He reviewed me channel on his stream, shouted me out. I just want to say a special thank you to him and any subscribers that have come over. Really appreciated. Maybe motivation from here up to here. But let's get into the picks. Starting off with the first fight on the card, not gonna lie, it's a shit fight. But that's the reason why it's the first fight on the card. I mean, it's not bottom of the barrel, but it also sort of is bottom of the barrel. You got Malcolm Gordon versus Jimmy Flick. Now, just to be quick, I'm gonna pick Malcolm Gordon in this matchup. He's got a reach advantage. He looked better in his grappling in his fight against Makhachev. And I don't see Jimmy Flick subbing him, and I think Malcolm Gordon's got the advantage on the feet. And that's about it, really. I just see him picking him apart on the feet and winning a decision victory and avoiding the ground as much as possible, or surviving on the ground as much as possible. Next up, Jasmine Jasudavicius versus Priscila Cachoeira. Pretty good fight. Like, they're both like dog type of scrappy fighters. And I actually don't mind this fight for a woman's fight. I just think Jasmine Jasudavicius is better all around. I think she's a better fighter, and I actually thought she'd have a reach advantage, but she's got a slight reach advantage by what, 3 inches. But I thought she would be the much bigger fighter here in height as well, but she's actually, in reality, she's not. I can see her winning by a decision or a sub, but I'm ultimately going to lean towards the decision. I think she's going to win a decision here against Priscila, the zombie girl. I just think she's going to outdog her and outstrike her. I think she's the better striker, but Priscila does pack some power, so Jasmine does have to be careful of that. But I'm going Jasmine by decision. Yohan Lainesse versus Sam Patterson. I see Yohan Lainesse getting the finish here. I think he's the better all-around striker, and I think he's got the power advantage in his hands. I just worry a little bit about Sam Patterson's defense, and I think when you have Yohan Lainesse throwing strikes at you, you better be careful. And I can't help but see him getting clipped. Like, I can't help but see Sam Patterson getting clipped by one of Yohan Lainesse's strikes. I just think he's got the better boxing. Like, if you watch his fights, he just seems cleaner. And I also think he can stave off most of the takedowns. Sure, Sam Patterson might get one, but I honestly do see Yohan Lainesse getting back to his feet. If I had to call it, I'm going to say Yohan Lainesse via round 1 KO. I think he catches him in the feet in the first round when Sam Patterson tries to go for a takedown or something like that. Next fight to start up the prelims, Gillian Robertson versus Polyana Viana. Now, I'm not simping, I swear. I'm not. I'm just not. But I'm going Polyana Viana. Unpopular pick, but I see her getting the finish here. I do see her getting the finish here. I think she packs power, Gillian Robertson doesn't. She has better striking than Gillian Robertson. Gillian Robertson leaves herself open on the feet. And sure, if Gillian Robertson does get her takedowns going, she can beat Polyana Viana. But Polyana Viana isn't terrible on the ground. Like, as much submission losses she had, which is definitely a big possibility in this fight. I'm not going to act like it's not. But I can see Polyana surviving, and I think she catches her eventually. But I'm actually going to call first round KO by Polyana Viana with like a 1-2 or something. I can just see her catching her, finishing her with ground and pound, something crazy like that. I'm going to go with a little bit of a crazy pick for that one. Next fight, Sidey, is that how you say it? Versus Ramon Taveras. A good fight. They already fought on the Contender Series, but I'm going Sidey in this fight. Sidey dropped him on the Contender Series, and I think he's a better all-around outside fighter. But I'm actually going to say he doesn't finish him in this matchup. I'm going to say it goes to the cards, and I think Sidey just outboxes him, outstrikes him in the fight. I think Ramon's going to be a little bit more cautious this fight, you know. It's a bit different when you know you've been dropped by somebody before and finished. I know it was a little bit of an early finish, but I could just see Taveras, you know, being a little bit cautious, and I think that'll let Sidey, you know, he's got the momentum, he's got the confidence, and that goes a long way in fights like this. I think he's going to have the confidence, and he's just going to pick apart Taveras, over the fight, and I think he's going to get the win on the cards. Next up, Jourdain versus Sean Woodson. Sean Woodson, reminds me of a fucking daddy long legs. Have you seen this guy fight? Like, just these movements, like, it's funny. He's just like, I don't know how to explain it other than a daddy long legs. Picture a daddy long legs, and when you're watching Sean Woodson fight this weekend, and you'll know what I mean. I'm gonna go Charles Jourdain. Yes, I know, look at that fucking reach advantage. 69% inch to 78 inch. And the height difference too. What's that, like 4 inches? It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see how Charles Jourdain deals with that height advantage. But ultimately, it comes down to this. I think Charles Jourdain is a lot technically better and has a lot better of a defense. See Sean Woodson, he's very open, like open to strikes, open to getting caught. And I can just see, Sean Woodson will be picking at him, but I don't see him landing the better hits in the rounds. I see Charles Jourdain landing the better hits in the rounds. I see him being pretty composed. The teep will be a big weapon in this fight. Leg kicks from Charles Jourdain will be big weapons in this fight. And I'm going to go Charles Jourdain by KO. I think he KOs him in the late second. We see a bit of a back and forth first round with Sean Woodson getting caught here and there, but he's on the outside poking out his jab. But I think we'll start to see Charles Jourdain get on the inside and really working his striking. And by the end of the second round, I can see that's where he really will start to get to Sean Woodson and put it on him. Fucking splatter this daddy long leg, mate. That's what I see happening. Next up, Brad Katona versus Garrett Armfield. Now, I'm going to have a little rant, I guess you could call it, but Brad Katona is just a fighter in the UFC that annoys me for no reason. Like, surely everybody has a fighter that just annoys them for no reason. Like, there's nothing inherently wrong about him, but is he not just a little bit annoying? Like, something about his personality or the way he speaks or something. He fucking annoys me a little bit, and I don't know why. But I do have him in this fight. I think he's a better all-around fighter. Garrett Armfield isn't the best. And I'm just going to say it feels like a little bit of a layup for Brad Katona. I think he wins every single round and wins by decision. We're on the main card already. This is the point where we can slow down a little bit, We fucking sped up the highway, going 120. Time to lower it back down to 100, We're going to just slow down a little bit here. Break down the main card, starting with Arnold Allen versus Movsar Evloev. Now, I've got Arnold Allen in this fight. I know Movsar Evloev, undefeated, great wrestler, but I think Arnold Allen's the one to undo him. I just see openings on the feet for Arnold Allen. I see moments where he can tag Movsar Evloev, and Arnold Allen has some clean-ass boxing. I think he's a way better striker than Movsar Evloev, and I think Arnold Allen on the ground is good enough to compete with Movsar Evloev. Sure, Movsar Evloev is going to be the better wrestler, better grappler, but I see Arnold Allen being able to compete and get back to his feet. Even if he's on the ground for, a minute, 2 minutes, I see him getting back to his feet, and that's where he's gonna do his work. I think he's going to outstrike him, and I think he's going to catch him, and I think it's going to be brutal. That's my prediction. People are going to be like, fuck, you're off, you're bugging. But I'm going to say Arnold Allen via first round KO. We've picked a lot of first round KOs here, and it's not going to stop. Trust me, Arnold Allen via first round KO. I think he's going to get taken down once, and he's going to say, nah, fuck this. He's going to do a similar thing to what he did to Dan Hooker, just charge at him, shot after shot, tag Movsar Evloev, finish him off on the ground. I think we're going to see a different Arnold Allen after the Max Holloway fight, I do. And I think he's going to tag Movsar and get him out of there in the first round. Next up, Chris Curtis versus Marc-André Barriault. I think this is a great fight for Chris Curtis. I know that sounds weird to say, but I think this is a great fight for Chris Curtis because Marc-André Barriault is a pressure fighter. And I think they're the fighters Chris Curtis does very well against, pressure fighters, When people fight him on the outside, that's where he seems to lose. Even Kelvin Gastelum fought him a lot on the outside. Jack Hermanson fought him on the outside. I think having somebody in his face charging at him is where he strives the most, and that's exactly what Marc-André Barriault does. Now, I know Marc-André Barriault's known for breaking people. He breaks people down with his cardio, but Chris Curtis doesn't have bad cardio. Like, I don't know if it's on the level as Marc-André, but I think he has enough cardio here to keep up with Marc-André. And I think every time they engage in the pocket, Chris Curtis will be landing the better shots, hooks, uppercuts, body shots. Body shots will be a big thing in this fight. I don't believe it'll slow Marc-André Barriault down, but you never know. I actually was going to go with round 3 KO for Chris Curtis, but I'm actually thinking it's going to go to decision. I'm just going to go with my heart here. I'm thinking decision, and I think he's going to win 2 rounds to 1. Maybe he drops the second, or maybe even the first. He's known for dropping the first round, so maybe it is the first. But I think then he takes over the last 2, just with that boxing, with that cleaner boxing, hitting the cleaner shots. Maybe even hurts Marc-André for a moment. But I see the body work, just the clean boxing, and the pressure from Marc-André I think will work against him in this fight. So Chris Curtis by decision. Next up, Neil Magny versus Mike Mallet. Now, Mike Mallett's another fighter that I randomly dislike. I wouldn't say I dislike him, but I think he's got to do a little bit more to make me a fan. Like, I'm kind of on that neutral ground, but I think he does win this fight. I think this is a horrible matchup for Magny. I think Mike Mallett's too explosive, too much of a finisher, too much of a clean striker. I don't think Neil Magny can do what he does in his usual fights, like poke, clinch, poke, clinch. I think every time he goes to poke at Mike Mallet will be coming back with sledgehammers straight to Magny's way. That's what I honestly think is going to happen. I think he's going to be landing the harder shots, the cleaner shots, the better shots. And I think Magny will really feel him, and I think it'll sort of cause him to even be more pokey, if that makes sense. Like, I think it'll cause him to be a little bit more cautious. And Neil Magny is getting old. Again, I think the UFC made this matchup for Mike Mallet to win, sort of getting rid of Neil Magny, using him to boost up all these newer guys like they did with Gary. I think Mike Mallet's going to catch him. What did I write down here? Mike Mallet's going to catch him in the second round. I think he's going to catch him in the second round. Something like, I think he's going to win the first, and I could see Neil Magny, picking, and Mike Mallet just counter-shotting with a straight right or something. But subs live as well if it does go to the ground. So the official pick is Mike Mallet via second round KO. Now, Raquel Pennington versus Mara Bruna Silva, women's bantamweight title fight, co-main event. I don't honestly have a lot to say on this one, if I'm being completely honest, other than I think Mara Bruna Silva is the better finisher here, and I think that's what the difference is in this fight. I think she's a better finisher than Raquel Pennington, and her submissions, man, her submissions are deadly. Raquel Pennington's sort of a balance between everything. She's not terrible anywhere, but she's also not particularly great anywhere. I mean, her boxing isn't bad, but I think Mara Bruna Silva is just too dangerous her. And I wouldn't be surprised if Raquel Pennington does steal a round or two. Like, say this does go to the decision, it could be a close fight, but I think Mara Bruna Silva finishes her, especially in the 5 rounds. I think she finds a chance to finish her. I can't see her not finishing her. I'm going to go she finishes her in the 3rd round via submission. I think she gets her to the ground and subs her after a bit of a back and forth 2 rounds with, Mara Bruna Silva showing her finishing ability, but Raquel Pennington keeping up. She keeps up until she gets subbed. So I'm going to Mara Bruna Silva being the new champ of the bantamweight division. Does anyone really care? Probably not, but I mean, fun matchup. The final fight. I'm so excited for this fight. I haven't been as excited for a fight in forever. Sean Strickland versus Strickland Du Plessis. The glasses are coming off for this one. Cheers. Cheers to this fight. That was like the pussiest sip ever, but I'm excited, and I really want one side of this fight to win. Like, it's pretty rare that I'm like, I want this person to win, but it's not affecting my pick. I've went off my pick because generally I don't hate either of them, but I just more really want somebody to win, and that person is Sean Strickland. But he's also my pick. Now, I barely wrote any notes down. I wrote notes down for most fights, but I think the first round is going to be the most dangerous round for Strickland. And I think he survives the first round, and I think he looks decent in the first round. I don't think it looks like the Robert Whittaker fight. I think Sean Strickland's a bit more composed than Robert Whittaker, and I think Robert Whittaker got caught by surprise in that fight. I think Sean Strickland sort of knows what to expect, and he's been training a lot of grappling, man. Johnny Eblen. Been training with Johnny Eblen. Bro is ripped. He's got an 8-pack. Sean Strickland with an 8-pack, mystical fighter. Angry Sean Strickland, mystical fighter. Could work against him, but I just see Strickland being a little bit better everywhere, and I do think he could drop the first round just through some grappling maybe, or through, you know, Dricus. Maybe I just see Strickland being real cautious in the first round, and then, you know, he's a snowball fighter. He rolls down the hill and he builds up more and more momentum, and I can see his pressure really getting a Dricus over the rounds. Dricus is trying everything. He's trying everything. And I think Sean Strickland just starts to take over. Better boxing. You know, whenever they're in the pocket, I can see Sean Strickland getting the better of the strikes. I think Dricus is a slower striker. Definitely hits harder, but Strickland's defense is looking good. And I don't see Dricus Du Plessis setting up anything like Alex Pereira set up. And if it does go to the floor, I see Sean Strickland, you know, doing fine. Strickland's grappling game's heavily underrated. We see he's very safe off his back while still getting to his feet. He doesn't take unnecessary risks, and he knows his positions at all time. Dricus is more of an explosive grappler. There's still a lot of technique to it. He knows his positions as well, but Strickland's going to be smart on the ground if he does get taken down, which could lose him around, but don't see him getting finished on the ground at all. And I'm not buying the nose surgery stuff. I see over the rounds, you know, third, fourth, I see Strickland taking over as Dricus gets more tired. Strickland starts ripping to the body, starts smothering him. Dricus is, you know, taking heavy breaths, swinging, missing. Strickland, bop. Just keep tagging him. I wouldn't even be surprised if Strickland, you know, this is a fight. He said he's going to do a masterclass to him. I wouldn't be surprised if this is a fight where Strickland shows some of his takedowns, shoots a takedown of his own, gets Strickland down, tags him a little bit, just lets him back up. I will not let him back up, but Dricus gets back up, back on the feet. I see him really taking over, and I think every single round that goes by, he gets more and more dominant. But again, I do think the first round's the most dangerous. I think by each round that goes on, you can be more safer in that Sean Strickland's going to win. But do I think Strickland's going to get the finish? I mean, it's possible, especially in that 4th and 5th round. You know, you have a gas Strickers Du Plessis. But I'm going to say Sean Strickland gets a decision win. I'm going to say maybe he drops 2 rounds, the first 2, or maybe he drops 1 round, the first round. But I see him winning all the rest. I could even see in like the final round, you know, he drops Strickers, gets a 10-8 or something. I know I'm hyping up Strickland a lot here, but that's how I see the fight going. But again, he could definitely just get knocked out in the first round. That's my point. I think that's the biggest chance for Dricus, and it's a pretty big chance. Like, I'm not saying it can't happen, but I just see Strickland gets past that. I see the fight going down that trajectory, and that's what I'm banking on here. And I think Dricus, it's such a weird thing with Dricus, you know, before you kind of, after watching the Robert fight, you kind of forget all his old fights, and I've been watching his old fights, and it just goes back to, is he really that good? Like, is he really that good? Did he just have the best performance of his night against Whittaker? Was Whittaker off? I'm going to give credit to him and say he has made improvements, but how much in that time? You know, you go from the Derek Brunson fight where he was on his back, Derek Brunson was beating his face in for a little bit, and then you go to Robert Whittaker and he's taken Robert Whittaker down, smashing Robert Whittaker's face in. But how many improvements did he really make? And against somebody who can be as technical as Strickland, as much as it might look ugly, I do believe he's really technical. Can you really do that to Sean Strickland? Overall, I think Dricus Du Plessis' biggest chance is in the first round. And I think as the fight goes on, Strickland takes over. And could even see a 5th round finish or a decision win. But I think Sean Strickland keeps his belt. And Dricus will have to move back in the line and fight somebody else. But overall, good fight, close fight. I don't see, you know, it's not obvious who's going to win. But it's pretty 50-50. But I just see Strickland's side more likely to happen than Dricus catching him in the first round. The only person to do that is Alex Pereira, and again, he had to do a very technical setup to catch Strickland like that. But anyway, guys, they're my official picks. I'll have a how to bet both ways on this main event up soon, so be sure to watch that. I'll also break it down a little bit more detail. And as always, guys, have a good one, and thank you all again.
Give me 5 minutes, I'ma pull up with like 5 niggas. Give me 5 minutes, girl, I'ma be right with you.